Hello, my wellness consultants. Hope you are all doing amazingly well. For those of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope you're having a fantastic summer. And for those in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope that you're having a nice winter or autumn. Okay, today you are going to really love this coaching session because I've spent the entire morning preparing for this new training that I will be launching in the next couple of months. And it's called How You Make Money as a Wellness Consultant. And the idea of this training is for you to take the expertise you have been building for years, something that you know you're really, really good at, and to turn that into a business people understand, value, and are willing to pay for. Here is the number one challenge I see many wellness professionals tell me, and that includes yourselves. Even if you're in my container, the Wellness Consultant Blueprint, is when you actually get out there. So you've gone beyond signing your first few clients, you've gone beyond that honeymoon phase, which lasts, let's say, probably 1 or 2 years from when you started launching. You know, you get your first clients, things are rolling, you have that momentum. But then after that, that beginner's luck kind of weans off. And then it is your skill, your ability to bring in new clients that actually ensures that your business is a lasting success. And the number one thing I hear many consultants, many wellness professionals, even practitioners say is that hotels or their clients don't understand wellness or they don't understand their modality of wellness, whatever kind of healing they offer. And that's why I decided to take out this training because you can't only just create a business. I mean, creating that business, create your offer and go out to town, that is not the difficult part, though sometimes we might find it the most overwhelming part. But the difficult part is actually to create a business that people, that is your clients, understand. They understand what you're doing and they value what you're offering and they're also willing to pay for it because they see the value in it. And the funny thing with value is that it doesn't come from you telling them that this is valuable or you telling them that they're doing it wrong. The value comes to them, from them rather, and they're seeing, does this person actually understand my problem? And are they going to help me solve my problem? They have a pain and they need someone to help them take the pain away. It's as simple as that. And when we get stuck in this kind of rut where we think that our clients don't understand us, that is when we get into this convincing energy or the scarcity mindset thinking people don't get us. When really, who isn't getting someone is us not getting our clients. What are their real problems? So this training, Make Money as a Wellness Consultant, is all about showing you the 5-step process that you are going through in the blueprint and what exactly to do to not only take the leap from being a professional, a practitioner, a director, to becoming a consultant, not only taking that leap, but actually building a business that is going to endure over time. I say this very often, that the success of wellness depends on two things. One, design, and two, stewardship. So one, how you've designed your business. Now, that's not a physical design, but it's your concept, your idea, your vision. And two, how you're looking after your business, how you are delivering the promise you are making your clients, how you're delivering them those remarkable experiences. Depends on those two things. You can have the best idea, the best business idea possible, offer the best services possible, but if you don't know how to manage your business, if you don't know how to manage the delivery of your amazing service, it'll never ever have success. Alternatively, you can be a ninja delivering, but if your business is not designed right, means you're not solving the right problem for your client. They don't see the value in what you're offering. That business is never going to be a success, no matter how brilliant you are at your craft. So this training, Make Money as a Wellness Consultant, is all about the two steps, about designing it right and also stewarding your business right, delivering the services you need to deliver properly. So the first step we all know is about choosing your path. And more importantly, more than actually choosing your path, it is about literally choosing that one road forward. And all roads, as we know them, might lead to Rome. If there is one thing I've learned in all these years of being in business, is that there are many, many, many very valid ways to get to Rome. And we say Rome is, for me, make money as a wellness consultant. What I want to do is do what I love doing, deliver my guests or my clients amazing work. I want to do what I do on my terms. I don't want people to tell me how to do what I do, because ultimately, if I wanted that, I would have been a stellar employee, which I'm not, and I never have been. I like doing things my way. And then finally, I want to enjoy quality of life. You know, I want the good, finer things in life, and I want to do what I love doing, and I want to do it on my terms. So I literally want a piece of my cake and the whole cake itself. And that is possible. But it all comes from choosing that one road forward. And this is why in step one of the process, I get you to choose what path you want to walk on. Do you want to be the hotel or an internal consultant for a company, an advisor, practitioner? Do you want to be that person? Or do you want to go in, get things done, it's a defined period of time, defined money in and out, and a very clear deliverable? So you're in and out, and then you're moving to the next one. That is your project-based consulting. Or lastly, do you want to go and carve out your own niche? Do you want to go and create something that's uniquely yours? Now, here's the truth. Each and every path will lead you to Rome, will lead you to success, will lead you to making money as a wellness consultant. It will lead you to doing what you love doing on your terms and having the quality of life you want. That is the harsh truth. There is no right or wrong path, just the one you choose. And it doesn't need to be the perfect path. And I've told you many times, have chosen every single path. I've walked down each and every path, always, in my entire 18 years of having my business. I have been that internal consultant and enjoyed it. I have also been that project-based consultant and loved it too. And now I am that specialist consultant and I love that too. And I feel that I have got to this stage of being that specialist consultant because it is something that I have acquired over the years. I have so much experience and I've gained so much knowledge and I have upskilled myself so much that I now feel today confident in creating my own way of doing wellness. And I can definitely put my hand in the fire and say that my way definitely works. And so much so that I've written a book, The Wellness Asset, that you guys have read. And I'm also writing my second, finished the first draft, my second book, Felt Not Forgotten, giving you guys the name first. So that is what I've done. This is my route. But if you ever find that you're tempted to indulge in confusion, I invite you to go back and really think, where am I? It's literally like if you're you get into your car and you're clear about the destination you want to go to. And on Google Maps, I don't know what you use in your part of the world, but in Google Maps, you go and put from where you are to where you want to go, and it'll show you a number of routes. Some take longer, some are quicker, some are easier. You know what? It doesn't really matter. How long it takes you to get there does not matter. Because in my experience, I assure you, every single path has their challenges. Every single one of them. We might think one path is easier, for example, the internal consultant. I can assure you it is not. Nor is the project-based consultant, and nor is the specialist. Every single path has its own nuances. There will be no quicker or better path. So just like when you're sitting in your car and choosing a route, you just click on the route that best suits you for the hour of the day you're going, the level of traffic, the distance, etc. All the complex factors that come into place, or the other factors, not complex, but the other factors that come to play when you are going to a certain destination. So that's why it is of paramount importance that you know that you're going to choose one road forward. It's not written in stone. You can change it in 1 year or 2 years or whenever you want. It's not written in stone. But I strongly encourage you, once you've made a decision, stick to it. Do not change it. Because when you're lucky enough that you sign your clients pretty much as soon as you're pitching, you think that, okay, this is an amazing path. This has always worked. And then there comes a point where that path stops working for you. And then you're completely lost and you don't know what else to do. So success tends to be this lousy teacher, because when you hit it out of the park the first time, everything looks rosy until it stops. But there are also several other people who do not sign clients very quickly. And the first thing they do is they go back to change the path they're on. Or they change the offer, whatever they are offering, the service, that key signature offer. That's the first thing I see wellness consultants do. And in reality, it is actually the last thing they need to do, is to go and change their path. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the path you've chosen. And if you think the other paths will be easier, you are very mistaken. Sometimes it's not the path that's the problem, nor even the signature offer. Many times it boils down to your ability to tell your potential client, or rather to transmit to your potential client the value that you're offering. Remember, with this training, I'm talking about you're building a business that people understand, value, and are willing to pay for. And if for whatever reason you're not signing clients just like this, it's because your potential clients don't understand what kind of problem you're solving. They don't see the value, or they're simply not willing to pay for it. And that is where you need to go back to the drawing board and fix that. Because no matter what path you choose, that is never going to change how you are explaining yourself in a way that your clients can understand you, can see the value of what you're offering, and they are willing to pay for it. So the first step is knowing that you don't need to be on the perfect path. It doesn't need to be this only one and only path. You can have several paths. That doesn't matter which one you choose. But what matters is that you choose one and you stick with it long enough to actually nail how to get your clients or potential clients to understand what you do. What problem do you solve? For them to value the problem you're solving and for them to actually be willing to solve that problem. That is what your core focus is when you're just starting off in business. Then, once you've gone to the second stage, once you've finished with choosing a path, it doesn't matter which road forward you take. The next thing you need, the next step is all centered around how you create a signature offer. And I've called it one thing done brilliantly. Like, I mean, you being a super ninja at it. Now, what tends to happen is that we believe that if we put the entire kitchen sink in of what we can do, that automatically means we're more valuable. So implicit in that thought is that the more things I throw at my client and I show them how ninja I am at doing that, the more they're going to value me. And here is what I know from personal experience. The more you throw at your client, the more confused they are. And the less likely they are to buy from you. I remember the first proposal I sent out to a client. It was 27 pages long. And I assure you, it had the entire kitchen sink of what Son Lubroy is capable of doing. The entire kitchen sink, no bars held. I'm a ninja at finance. I'm a ninja at business modeling. Very few people out there have that ability. And mine was honed at Goldman Sachs. So I put that in. I'm highly creative. I create one of the best treatment protocols, one of the best wellness concepts. I get obsessive when it's coming to creating concepts. I really go 10 miles, that extra 20 miles. I get obsessive. And I can create, hands down, the best treatment protocols. And I see that in spas that I opened 18 years ago, they still follow my protocols. And it is thanks to a wonderful, beautiful human being I met 20 years ago. And she was the trainer for Six Senses when I was way back opening the spa in Doha. And I learned so much just observing how truly brilliant she was. Because I did what most spa directors do when they started off, particularly when you don't come from a therapist background, was delegate everything to the therapist because they're the therapist, they should know. And then I quickly realized that, like all employees, therapists are also order takers. They will perform a brilliant treatment, but you have to tell them what to do. Don't ask them to create a protocol. And I've, got that super checked and tried and tested across the globe. So I'm super creative at not only creating concepts, but creating treatment protocols. And I will also give the training myself because I put myself through all the training. Not that I'm by far the best. I'm probably one of the worst therapists out there. You wouldn't want me to be doing any treatment, but I'm very exacting with how I like a treatment menu, how I like my treatments to be done, all the rituals and everything. And I make them simple, super easy to learn. And I got completely nuts when it comes to the training. I make it so much fun. So that's just the way I work. That also I put in this 27-page long proposal. Opening spas, I am innately super organized and I'm a workhorse. I have so much resilience. And obviously, now at this age, I can very proudly say it, but I am like, I see what I do and my ability to produce and my resilience, and I train it. Trust me, I train it very intentionally. It's a skill I'm honing constantly and maintaining. And I also put all my abilities to do an opening. And not only opening, the hardest part is the first 2 or 3 months of an opening when some of the team leaves, when there's chaos, when you're left with this empty feeling. I knew how to manage that all. I also know how to turn a business around like this. I walk in and I know exactly where that wellness offering is failing. And I also know exactly what they need to do to turn it around because I know the hotelier. I know what they're willing to spend the money on. And when I know what will that small little action move the entire needle, I am hands down the queen of selling my idea. I will convince the GM right till he or she says yes. Trust me, I have that knack. I do that really well. That was also my 27-page proposal. Could do anything and everything. And I also came from a fitness background. That is how I entered into wellness. I can create these amazing trails. I have huge ideas and I also have lots of connection in the fitness industry. So I can create ninja stuff. So that, all of it was in this 27-page proposal. And I had thought that I had just impressed the pants out of my potential clients. That client did not hire me. And then they went and hired someone else. Then I was like, are these people serious? Honestly? And I realized that I was using my expertise, my experience to prove my worth and my value, the typical imposter monster. I was using everything in my artillery to sell and improve my worth, when in fact, it was never about my worth. It was about me understanding my client. What is it they need? And just solving the problem for that. So when I say step 2, in the program, I call it create your signature offer. But in this training that I'm taking out, Make Money as a Wellness Consultant, I've mentioned one thing done brilliantly. And I'll say that again. Do one thing, one offer, and do it brilliantly. Be the best at it so that absolutely no one can be you better than you can be you. That's the whole idea. And looking at my notes, why does it matter to choose one thing and be the best at it? Just deliver it brilliantly. It's because if you try to be everything to everyone, you're actually nobody to anybody. You know, you're just not someone who really has made an impact. You actually mean nothing to them. So focus on that one thing. And the one thing should be something you love doing. That might not necessarily be something you're brilliant at, but it has to be something you love. And do it remarkably well. And I've also got it here. And I was thinking, oh, should I actually teach that? Because that's more probably the harsh reality kind of way, but I will. I am naturally a high energy person. You know, I have deep desire, raw passion. That's always the way I move. And one thing, when I look back at, 18 years of my business and the success I've created for myself, I wouldn't say I'm a ninja particularly wise or smart. No. I'm a ninja in finance, yes, because I have worked at it. I'm a ninja at wellness. Yeah, well, at 50 years of age, and I've been in this industry for 30 years, if I wasn't, very worrying for me, honestly. I have worked at it. And why I've had success is because I've had this raw passion. I mean, this undescriptible, just, move and get it done. Raw passion, deep desire. And that is what has allowed me to move through years of a lot of hard time. Like, I mean, now we are living wellness and everything is beautiful and fantastic, and everyone entering in as a consultant is signing clients, quite easily. It's a very nice world to be in. But I assure you, 20 years ago, that was not the case. It was very difficult to prove our worth. And I still, it was these moments of deep desire, raw passion that really made me stick through. And I also remember, this is me probably, I was probably approaching like my 40s, late 30s when I had finished my stint in Macau. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I looked at my peers because obviously my education was legal background in one of the best law schools in London, and then into Goldman Sachs banking. And all those people who, we were in our mid 20s together in Goldman Sachs. And then you see us a decade later or nearly 15 years later, well, more like a decade later. And these people had, created incredible wealth. Everything is relative, right? So for what people in the late 30s, the wealth they accumulate. And this is me stuck, literally this is the first time I had to crawl back to full-time employment and go all the way out to Macau to just, get back on my feet while I was still building my business. And when I wrote my first book, ebook, How to Open a Smart Spa, I was like, I don't care. These people have built empires, beautiful houses, amazing cars. This is me having to go to another part of the world to just build some financial stability back again. But what allowed me to do that, I laugh now, but I'm sure I wasn't laughing back then. It was this just this pardon me, this raw passion, this deep desire. And I cannot stress how important it is. All ideas, I promise you, if you work hard enough and if you, stick with them long enough, you will see success. I mean, how many people have you heard? Like the guy who did the Dyson. I mean, he did what, 10,000 prototypes? Or the guy who created KFC. He was like 20 years just going with a cart with chicken inside to finally become the Kentucky Fried Chicken it became. How many people have spent decades just with their thing and finally seeing success? I believe that any idea, provided it's sensible, which we're all creating sensible ideas, last. You will have success if you're willing to take it past the finish line. And I have found the only thing that takes you past that finish line is that deep desire, that raw passion. Because that is what gets you through the difficult days. And I assure you, entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. It's testing and trying on many levels, I can assure you. So choose your superpower. Do it amazingly well. Become brilliant at what you love doing. That's not always necessarily what you're good at doing. And I always come back to I'm amazing at finance. I'm very few people. I'm just like with another client and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, is this the profit and loss these guys prepare? I was like, I don't think you guys are on earth. So I helped them fix it and literally took me 15 minutes. And I was using their template, not mine. So I had to get my head around their template and then understand it. And then I was very convincing, improving, in explaining to them that their P&L was not going to sustain. So they had to adopt mine, and they did. So do it. Choose what you love doing. Serve who you want to serve. And just go all in. Do it so brilliantly that no one else can be you better than you. Impossible. Also here, going back to my notes, this step 2 is, it's very important to understand that you're not proving your value by showing everything you can do. That throwing in the entire kitchen sink. That's not how you show your value. You show your value from solving one meaningful problem exceptionally well. Find the problem the people you want to serve have and solve it exceptionally well. That should be your focus for at least 5 years of your business. Do not think you're going to be super ninja at it the first time around. No, it takes a while to be you too. I can assure you it took me many years. I've got a very strong and marked personality, but I can tell you it's only in my later years that I am embracing me unapologetically. That's the same way with your offer. I don't believe that's any different. And also, it's important for you to realize that you don't need to carry everything you've ever done in your life, all the skills, that entire kitchen sink. What you need to do is you don't need to squeeze every single skill qualification, or things you need to do, you know how to do in one offer. Less is more. You know when you've created a masterpiece, when you can no longer remove from it. Now, I'll give you the example of the wellness asset. I created that essence framework. It took me years to create, and I can tell you, it was just so difficult to write. And even when I wrote, one manuscript got rejected and I had to rewrite everything. So, really explaining what I wanted to explain. And that's the book you see, and that's the book you read, and that's the bestseller. But it took me, I assure you, years of doing it and then writing up just, insane amount of hours. And even after I've published the book, I have gone back and refined and refined and refined and refined, seen where people slip, trying to correct it. I've never abandoned my essence model. I have never abandoned the idea of the wellness asset. Never. That's me to the T. I've just learned how to explain it in a very different way. And from the essence model came the Wellness Asset Academy, and now the Wellness Consultant Blueprint. And I've whittled it down to only 3 steps of the essence model so that you can get the results you want. And it has taken me a lot of fine tuning. And with this new course, Make Money as a Wellness Consultant, I also further refining each and every step, explaining it in a way that you understand it. Because ultimately, I want to help you create the business you want. I want you to do what you love doing on your terms and have the quality of life you want. That is what I want. I want you to make money as a wellness consultant. And I have to be super curious as to how can I make them do the work? How can I make them take the steps? How can I keep them engaged? So sometimes, in fact, it's never about adding more. It's about what else can I remove? What noise can I remove so that you get results quick? And once you've got these results, then we can go to the next step. But Usain Bolt, Sifan Hassan, Sebastian Salwe, they needed to first learn how to walk before they could do, Usain Bolt could do, 100 meters in less than 10 seconds. And Sebastian Salwe, a marathon in sub 2 hours. That didn't happen overnight. That happened through refining a skill. The same is what you need to do. That's why it's do one thing and brilliantly. But the first step is always one road forward. Choose a road. Doesn't matter what route you take. I assure you, every single of those routes you'll take, internal, project, or specialist, is going to be one hell of a kabuki dance. You're going to have challenges. Just choose one and go down it. You can always change further down the road, but learn what you need to learn. The easiest part is the road. Then, once you've chosen the road, one thing, done brilliantly. Be you better than anyone else can be you, which is ultimately what this is all about. Then, once you've been you and better than anyone else can be you, the next step is to position yourself as the obvious choice. That is step 3 of the 5-step process of the blueprint. But I'm calling this make them feel seen. And when I say make them feel seen, them is your potential clients, or rather your clients. And here, the idea is you seek to understand, then you seek to be understood. I am never, ever going to forget the first time I was brave enough to spend a stupid, insane amount of money in a mastermind in London. So it's flying from Madrid to London to be present. It just cost me an arm, a leg, and probably my left kidney. But thanks to that, I also got a book out of it that I wrote. In this mastermind, it was a breath of fresh air because no one was from hospitality, no one was from wellness. These are people who came from different walks of life, and they're all people who are under the 100K mark. Some, let's say 300Ks, some maybe 500,000. But then they were clearly ready to go to the next level. And I had just seen there when this guy who's, the leader of the mastermind, who had set up the mastermind, and he said that we try so hard to show what we know, and we think that is what positioning is about. And it absolutely isn't. You position yourself as the obvious choice when your client sees you and they say, you know what? This person gets me. He or she is speaking as if they know my problem inside out. I get DMs on LinkedIn saying, oh my God, Sonal, you say things exactly the way I'm feeling them. Now, clearly, I've been through many of the things that you guys are going through, but this is even hoteliers telling me, like, you said my problem better than even I know how to say what my problem is. And that happened thanks to this mastermind I took way back in 2018, where I was introduced to the idea, or Donald Miller's storyboard work, where the hero of the journey is your client. Make it about them. It's not about you. And in this mastermind, we all had to get up and give an idea. And I had to get up and come up with an idea of how I could actually reach my clients. And then I remember telling him that, hoteliers really don't get wellness. It's very difficult. And even some directors are very difficult. Spa directors are difficult for them to, they look at consultants as the worst enemy. So I think it's really difficult. They don't get the value of either consulting, or they don't get the value of wellness. And it's just impossible. And he told me that the reason you find it understandable, you find it very difficult that they don't understand you, is because really here, you're the one who doesn't understand them. And I just sat there staring. I said, I actually do know them very well. But I actually did realize that it's all about what I think they need. It's not about what they actually need. I was looking at everything from my perspective. It's a bit like my nephew, or my twin brother, or Davi, I, from the outside, can think, it's very easy for you to turn your life around and become more healthy. My twin brother, stop smoking, starting some exercise. If you want, we can wake up in the morning and we can go for a run together. Clearly, obviously, I know so much more about his life. And, 50 years down the road, I've not managed to get through to him because I clearly don't understand how he functions. And someone else comes in and tells him to reduce the amount he smokes, to do a few, pump weights in the gym, and happily does that. I was like, that's what this guy needs. I would just make him go and train for a marathon and whip him into shape like that. That's the way I would do it. And clearly he needs a different kind of regime, a different way of doing things. My nephew, too, very different ideas of how he can do things. And this is the same with our clients. So step 3 is about make them feel seen. Get so curious about your client's journey. What journey are they on? Because the idea here is that they feel seen, that they look at you and think, damn, this person understands me. I feel safe with them. They get me, and I know they will help me solve my problem. Because I, the client, wants to be able to solve my problem. I don't need this person to fix me. I just need to be shown how to solve this problem. And this is the problem that's important to me. I don't need you to tell me what's important. I don't need to tell you how to lead my life or live or look after my business. That's not why I've hired you. So whenever we find ourselves in that situation where we think our clients don't get wellness, people don't understand us, it's because we haven't understood them. We have not created this concept of bias safety. They don't see, damn, this person understands me. They know exactly what I'm going through. So this stage is all about thinking about your client. They're not inherently broken or need fixing. They just need to be seen. They need you to understand what's wrong with them. So I think the core idea here is that your clients don't need to understand you first. They need to feel that you understand them. So instead of saying, how do I explain what I do in 500 different ways? The question becomes, how do I show them that I understand what they need? That is so important. How do you show them that, I hear you. I know what you're going through, and I can help you solve it. So we want our clients to think, this person gets me. They truly understand me. And at the end, when you're actually getting curious to see how you can serve your client. So know that your client is a hero. It's their story. They're the hero of it. And your role is not to impress them with everything you know. Your role is to understand what exactly matters to them, what is important to them, not important to you. What is important to them? Then you have to have the ability to reflect that back to them with precision and become that guide that they trust. You know when someone understands your pain, even if they've probably never ever gone through your situation, just the way they hold you, the way they listen to you. You know that person has your back. They're listening, they're understanding. That is what you need to be for your clients. Your role is not to impress them. So always don't lead with your expertise. Start to lead with their world, their solution for your client. And that way you become the person they feel understands them, the person they trust, and the person they can actually lean on. So that is step 3. So make money as a wellness consultant. The first 3 steps are one road forward. Do one thing and brilliantly. And then make them feel seen. And once you've done that and you've signed clients, you're getting your clients, the next step is Fix. Don't start again. I say this always, and I will be a strong proponent and advocate for it, no matter what. You are never, ever going to hit it out of the park the first time round. Ever. No matter how much beginner's luck you have. So, what exactly does that mean? You will never create the perfect, right product. Ever. Never. Everything you create first is what Eric Ries calls your minimum viable product. That is the bare core essential. That is the product in its bare bones. And you have got it as far as you can on your own. The only way you can make it perfect is by iterating it, is by fine-tuning it, is by fixing what isn't working. And the only way you do that is by tweaking in the market. You take it out there. You test drive it. How do people know that a car is fixed? If your car is broken down, how do you know it is fixed? Has been fixed. You go and try it. You take it for a ride. And then if it doesn't break down, then you know it's been fixed. And if it breaks down, then you have to go back and see what isn't right. Where is the problem? That's the same with whatever you've created. Now, here's what I tend to see. When people, as soon as they encounter the first kind of stumbling block, they think, oh my God, this idea hasn't worked. I need to go find a new offer. I need to go and fix this. Or worse, I'm not good at this. I got it wrong. I failed. Instead of thinking, of course, it's not working. It's not working yet. So let me get back to the drawing board and find out where is the problem and fix it. The difference by thinking, oh my God, I got this wrong, to, okay, it's not working yet, but I'm going to make sure I make it work. So you do not throw the baby away with the bath water when something isn't working. You go, you find what isn't working, zoom in, fix it, then you go again. Then you go again. And again, that's what you do. It's a process, rinse and repeat until you get that delivery perfect. But it's not one core big action. It's a sum of many small little actions that you need to take. That's the key. And the idea here is I have now I see it more with my clients, right? I'll give you my hotel clients. They have a brilliant, this is something I see time and again. And even with my spa directors who are creating concepts, and they create something brilliant. Like, a lot of work has been gone into it. A lot of investment has been made, and they create a brilliant concept. But guess what? 1, 2, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months down the line, things don't turn out the way they expected them to. Of course they don't, because ideas you had in your mind was just arbitrary. You thought that, or they thought they're going to be having certain results, and they've not got those results. But they just made up those kind of results in their mind that they thought that they would have, or they thought they should have after 6 months. But life doesn't quite work like that. Doesn't actually turn out the way doesn't pan out the way we expect it to pan out, or the way we think it should be. It just happens the way it does happen. And what they do very quickly is either fire or replace the director of wellness, or the GM, or they totally change a brand entirely, the product brand, or they go and get another consultant in. That's what they do. Like, they give a bad idea, the idea is bad, boom, let's throw the baby away with the bathwater. When in fact, all along, the idea was actually brilliant. They actually did not give their idea enough time to know whether it worked or not. And instead, what needed working was probably fine tuning one or two things about the team, a series of many priorities. Maybe it was fine tuning one or two things of the team, of the offer, of how we're delivering something, of removing something, of adding something. So you can't just do one thing and expect everything to work. One thing fixed, tick. Then you go on to the next. Then you go on to the next. Then you go on to the next. And then finally, boom, you see the results. And this is important for you in your own business, when you are building your business, when you're delivering your clients. You will think that this client is no good. They don't know what they're doing. They don't believe in wellness. I don't want to work with them. And instead of thinking of it that way, get super curious and think, how can I make it easy for them? Now, they're clearly smart. They hired me the first time around. They want this to work. Now it's not working. What is it that I can do? Where am I failing? And you go back to the drawing board. Instead of making it the client's fault. The client didn't do this. The client didn't do that. And I assure you, once you do this for a good couple of years, you will have created a very repeatable process that you can scale and go very high with. But you have to first get in and find out, what can I do to fix things? How can I get my clients the results? And if they're tripping over something, what is it that I'm not seeing? Or how can I make it easier for them? Because it's all too easy to say, they don't get it, they're not doing it. And I remember that this used to happen to me earlier on when I set up my consulting work, where I'd create these amazing concepts. I would train all the team. I do the typical, post-opening mentoring that's needed. And then 1.5 years or 2 years later, I'll be like, oh, good heavens, what have they created? Like, to the point where I don't even put them in my portfolio or my CV, then, and then nowhere to be seen, because I'm like, that's not me. I don't do work like that. And then I started getting curious, like thinking, they were smart enough to invest in me, to create something. Where did I fail? And that is when I started to think, okay, I need to add this 1 year later, I need to do this follow-up. Maybe I need to send them this, or maybe I need to sell them this package. I got very curious. And that is exactly how I created, in stage 2 of the Essence Framework story, I talk about the all defining moments in a guest experience is actually the pre-arrival and the post-departure. And the bulk of hotels and the bulk of wellness facilities spend all their time in the physical guest experience. They spend all their time there. When in fact, what builds the crescendo, for them to actually enjoy the experience in the hotel is that pre-arrival. What we do before them, how we build that excitement, that anticipation. That's why I'm so obsessed right now with Disney and all the work they do. I mean, people are spending, are literally saving up for a decade to go to Disney. They're spending money they do not have to go to Disney, to live this wonder. And all of that has been created on anticipation. Many of these people haven't even set foot in Disney ever. But look at the power of them to create that anticipation. And this is what we do so badly in hospitality. We're pathetic at that. But pre-arrival and post-departure, once they leave, it's like, adios, muy buenas, have a nice life. We don't do any follow-up. And then I found out that I'm pretty much doing the same with my clients. Yes, I honk my horn and I get my marketing out there. But that's just getting them to know me. I'm not building that anticipation. I'm not building that desire to, we want to do this with her. I don't do that, or I didn't until now. And it's been a journey. And then the post-departure, once they stop working with me, I pretty much leave them to their own resorts because they're not paying for it. And I thought, that's not who I am. That's not how I show up. I wanted to do more. And I want to set them up for success. So this is where, when you're actually going to this step 4, fix, don't start again, it ensures you are literally just being pig-headed and dogged about going back to the drawing board, fixing what isn't working, obsessing over your client and fixing what isn't working, so that you can deliver what you do on repeat and then eventually scale it. That's why we enter into business, not to work harder, not to be a slave. Obviously, we do work hard, but we do also want to see a return on investment. And then the 5th idea is all about building the safety net. And here I call it shoot first, CHUTE, first, then jump. Don't jump without putting your chute on. You would never jump off a bridge or a building or anything without a chute on. Or you wouldn't go out, like the other weekend, we were wakeboarding. David and all of us had our life jackets on, and we all know how to swim very well. But we still had our life jackets on. You don't go out to practice such a sport and not have the life jacket on, even if you know how to swim. You build the safety net first. And the number one reason many businesses fail, or the vast majority of businesses fail, is because they don't have cash flow. They don't have the lifeline. They don't have the blood flowing through the veins. And it's sad because many times they have brilliant ideas. They have clients who are happy with them. They have teams who love them. And the business has so much potential. But they've run dry. They have no oxygen to keep them alive. So I put shoot first, then jump last, because I first want people to, when they're on this high, to make money as a wellness consultant, I want them to make the right decisions first. And those tend to be very emotional. So choose your path. One road forward. Then do one thing and do it brilliantly. Be you better than anyone else can be you. And then the next one is fix. No, that's not the right one. Make them feel seen. Make your clients feel seen. And then fix. Don't start again. And once you've got kind of all the emotional high and you're going into then, leveling down your emotion, then you find your intelligence and logic is going up. Because when your emotions are high, your logic is low. But as soon as your emotions start kind of stabilizing, you find your ability to think, your logical brain starts kicking in. And that is why I talk about making them feel seen, removing the focus from yourself onto your clients. And then the most logical of all, build your safety net. Create the chute. Know exactly what money you need in order to live your current lifestyle, what you're willing to live. What is that number? And once you've calculated that number, then go and add 10% more because you're always going to have unforeseen expenses. And then ensure you have at least 6 months saving in your account to live your life. So you're taking the stress of your business to feed you. And instead, all the monies you're making from your business, you're reinvesting it back to make it bigger and better. So I think that entrepreneurship is for the bold and the courageous. I really do think, because you really do risk everything. You're jumping way out there. And I can speak for myself, and I know other people when I've gone into the several masterminds I'm in, everyone feels it's a very lonely road. You are carrying so much weight. You're carrying your team, you're carrying your employees, you're carrying your clients, you're carrying your sales, your marketing, you're carrying all the admin. And also, you have a life, you have a home, you have to contribute. And you're carrying that too. So it's not for the faint hearted. This is difficult. Entrepreneurship is difficult. And I believe you have to be courageous in order to make the leap. It's like, they're taking you out for a skydive. You're up there. You've got all the chute on, everything. But that jump, to take that jump is incredibly scary. That's the same. You need that courage to just jump out. But you need the chute to hold you up in the air long enough so that you can land on the ground safely and build a business that lasts. And that is what cash flow does. It does not mean that you're scared of failing, or you're not a risk taker, or you're not courageous enough. If you take the time to build your safety net first, if you take the time to put on your chute first and then jump, it doesn't mean you lack confidence in yourself. It means you're actually being smart. You wouldn't jump off that plane to do a skydive without a parachute. I wouldn't be going into the lake to do wakeboarding without a life jacket, even though I know how to swim pretty well. I wouldn't do that. So building that chute first is important. And know that it's not something you do as an isolated incident. I have my safety net in, and I've had to put it in on many occasions in these last 6-7 years alone, because I want to reinvest in my growth. I want my business to grow bigger. I want to reach out to more people. And life demands, as we get older, life is lifing. So more obligations. So that means I have to have my obligations covered. That's my job. And I have that still today. I have my safety nets in place. And I've had to go and find a couple more so that I can build my business and take it to a completely different level. So having the safety net in is important. Cash flow is your oxygen mask. Put it on always. Never ever let go or lose sight of how much cash you have coming in. Cash, not revenue. Cash actually in your bank account to cover the obligations you need to. that is very different from a P&L. Very different. So that is how you make money as a wellness consultant. You take this 5-step process to turn all the expertise you've been building over these last few years and turn it into a business that people understand, value, and are willing to pay for. These are the 5 steps. There is a process, there is a science to it. One road forward. Then, one thing done brilliantly. Then, make them feel seen. Then, fix. Do not start over again. And lastly, shoot first, then jump. Always. Throughout your entire business career. That is how you make money as a wellness consultant. That is how you continue to do what you absolutely love doing. And that is how you do it on your terms, your way, from wherever you want, your price. And that is how you enjoy the quality of life you want to have. Otherwise, you'd have stayed in full-time employment. So, my wellness consultants, keep that in mind. Write it on Post-its. Use it as your North Star to keep you going when things aren't turning out the way you expected them to. And even when they are, keeping it clear. There is a process. You are following it and nothing's going wrong. One road forward. One thing done exceptionally well. Make them feel seen. Fix. Don't start again. Shoot first. Then jump. And on that note, my wellness consultants, it's been a long session today. Hope you're doing really well and wishing you a wonderful day ahead. Take care now.